Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World. And in this video, I'm going to do a tier list update for Yasratcha's release. I'm going to rank him and also go over some adjustments to other units. There aren't going to be many changes compared to the previous tier list because, we only got the release of Yasratcha, nothing more. In the previous one, we also had the release of Bari, Mago, Yama, and Kasano. So lots of things changed. For this one, it's pretty standard. Just a few adjustments for units that deserved it, and that's more or less it. Before starting and going over the tier list, I wanted to mention that I made some visual adjustments. So you might have noticed already, maybe not from my video, but if you looked at the spreadsheet, I increased the size of the images, and this is a bit better now because I also could add the portrait or icon of the unit next to the link. So for the 5 units, I believe, that still have a link, you will also find the icon of the unit they are linked to. And yeah, I will probably also remove some more. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, this just made it a bit clearer. Someone asked about it in the previous tier list update, and I thought it was a good idea, so I applied it. If you have any requirements or any additional ideas on how it should visually appear, let me know, and if it makes sense, I will definitely make those changes. So yeah, that being said, I think we can get over or go over the ranking for Yasratcha. So for this guy, I gave him S plus in both the below 300 and the above 300 deficits. The main reason for this is that this guy is an amazing tech unit to counter annoying enemies, like a lot of them. And he also has max HP damage, which makes him pretty future-proof. I already updated the future-proof tier list. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but you can find it on my spreadsheet already. And yeah, I gave him not the highest rank, the second one. So it will always do something. There will never come a time where this guy, like when this guy is worthless. I didn't give him the highest rank, the one that like Gustang, Chomray, Eden, and some other units got. Mainly because I have a feeling this guy could potentially get replaced. So I didn't want to place him in the highest possible one, but it definitely will still be usable regardless of how many more units are going to be released in the future. It will always hold some value. Now, over the reason why it is in S plus to begin with is that again, it can counter really annoying units. It deals max HP damage, and that's more or less it. The thing is, it doesn't counter all annoying units. It is kind of weak against units that have a skill block, units that are not targetable, or other things. Is kind of not that insane, but I would say probably 75 to 80% of the annoying enemies, maybe even a bit more, like he can counter them and kill them. So that's really good value. But I have to say one thing. If you're looking at this tier list and you're saying, okay, wow, so I should pull for Yasratcha. Not necessarily. Like if you're a new player, so you've only been playing for a short while, I would recommend against going for this guy. Just stop at 0 dupes and it will do just fine. Going for full investment isn't really going to help you much. Like for me, you should be at least at 481 before you even think of investing on this guy. And even if you are at 81, if you're a free-to-play player, I think it's better to go for like support units that can improve your account overall, because this guy on his own is going to counter some specific units, but then you still need a solid team around him. Or if you want to turn him into a main DPS, you will need at least Albelda, Revolution 5. But we're going to talk about that more in detail for his character review. For now, just know he isn't really going to act as a main DPS. It could be one, potentially. There are ways to make him work, but he's not something that a new account can achieve. So for me, if you're a new player or a free-to-play that doesn't have a lot of SSR Plus units built, I'd recommend against going for him, especially if you're short on resources and considering all the SSR Plus units that are going to come in the following months. I would say this guy is a safe 0 dupes unit. Is not necessary to have a Rainbow 5. So that's just a warning. Even though he has a super high rank, it might not be that impactful for your account. I just wanted to make this clear. So yeah, I think that's enough for Yasratcha's ranking. And we can go over the changes. Actually, for deficit below 300 for yellow and purple, I didn't touch a thing. It's all the same, yeah. But I did make some changes to red. I moved down Awakened Rock, mainly because I forgot about him in the previous tier list and he was still in S tier. He doesn't have enough to be ranked, I think, above like Yama, Urek, or some other tanky frontline units. He's okay in terms of survivability, but not even that insane. In terms of utility, he's a bit lacking. So I felt S was a bit too much for him, so I moved him down. I don't know if you agree, but I think it kind of makes sense. Baraka, on the other hand, is still staying in S because he has really good grouping and nice debuffs. So overall, I think he's a lot better than a Weekend Rock, as an example. But yeah, so here's one change. Another change is 003. I just gave her an arrow up just to distinguish her a bit more from the other supports we have in this category. So I think she's slightly above. She's also more future-proof than the others. She has a nice kit. The thing is, you wouldn't really normally use her much other than with Alice, maybe. In general, all the other red DPS units are not really going to have a lot of, like, are not really going to get a lot of value out of her, but still, I think she's a bit better than the other units, kind of thing. So let me know in the comments how you feel about this one as well. Then for Kaiser, I gave her an arrow down for this below 300 deficit. And yeah, not much to say. She's falling off mainly because of her single target nature and how weak her survivability is. So I think she will keep on going down slowly, but she definitely will. So I decided to already highlight that with an arrow down here. And yeah, that's more or less it for the S plus blue units. For the S rank, I gave Blank an arrow down. She's definitely not keeping up well with the other units. She's mainly a healer. She also provides attack buffs, but that's nothing insane nowadays, I would say, especially considering most units will have either max HP damage, at least the carries you're going to use, or will have access to a lot of defense decrease on the enemies, which also makes your additional attack not as impactful, or they will already have other sources of attack increase. Because we have quite a few of them here also. The other support we have on the same rank, Leroro, also gives quite a bit of attack, so her utility is a bit going down. Also for the above 300 deficit that we're going to see later is even worse because you're not even going to heal anyone. They're going to die immediately. It's true we have Barry now, so there is a very brief moment where she can actually heal someone. But I don't know, healing as a utility thing is losing a bit too much value, I think. So Blank is going down a little bit. She will still be valuable, but definitely not as much as she once was. And then the only other change I think for the below 300 deficit is Yama, and I gave him an arrow up, mainly because his durability is trash, but as soon as he can cast the first special move, he will actually last quite long. And his utility isn't bad. He also has the same 50% defense decrease as a Karaka. His grouping is a bit too weak, to be honest. I still don't like it, but at least his kit is somewhat acceptable. So I gave him an arrow up. He might go even higher in the future. We'll see. But overall, not too bad. It was probably a bit too like undervalued before, kind of thing. And yeah, for the below 300 deficit, that's all. Now we can move on to the above 300 deficit. And in here, we have no changes for yellow. So again, yellow is exactly the same as before. But for purple, let me see. I think Nare had an arrow down, but to me that didn't make any sense because she doesn't really lose value with the increase of deficit, so I removed it. That's the only change I made here for the S plus tier. For the S tier, there was an arrow down for Karaka, but with Bari, I think his durability got improved quite a bit, so I decided to remove his arrow down as well. Now he has the same ranking as Varagarv, but I would say Varagarv also depend on the other teammates to survive. Karaka is a bit better on his own and can be used in more teams, and also has really good grouping, so yeah. He doesn't have HP recovery block, but that's obviously something to consider based on who you need to counter. So I feel like Caracas still deserves the S rank. Then for purple, that's all. For red, let me see. I changed again 003. I gave her the arrow up as well because, I mean, she doesn't really change from below to above a certain deficit. She's still the same. So I gave her the same increase as the previous one. And Awakened Rock from S rank went down to A plus, arrow down, obviously. With the increase of the deficit, his durability got worse, so he definitely got the arrow down as well. And that's all for red. Now for blue, we can see Kaiser disappeared, and now she is in the S rank. I could probably give her S arrow up, to be honest. She's getting too close to a unit like Viol, and she's not close to him, I would say, in terms of performance. Still, we don't really have any other DPS units here in S rank. Maybe Calavan, but whatever. So she could go probably with the arrow up here in S. Actually, you know what? Let me give it to her, because I think it makes sense to give her the arrow up. Her damage is still really, really good. It's just a single target, and survivability wise, she is really, really bad. So yeah, that's just a change from S plus to S arrow up. Then we have Blanc. She went down from S to A plus. I think it kind of makes sense. Also looking at the other supports we have in A plus, like Zexia. We also have regular Aurora, Lozel. I mean, in general, Blanc is better than them, I think. But due to how bad just healing is in this kind of deficit, and also the fact that the attack increase is a bit unreliable, I felt like it doesn't really provide enough to the team to justify playing her. So I think going down a rank makes sense. And for Yama, it was A plus arrow down. I gave him A plus arrow up. So quite the increase, but I think he deserves it. He isn't as bad as I portrayed him to be in the previous tier list. He can definitely survive if you give him Bari and enough resistances and a team that isn't really too bad. So he can definitely provide some value throughout the fight. So I think that's a good placement. And this was the last change. As you can see, I didn't really touch much here, just more or less the same, just a few minor adjustments. And yeah, let me know in the comments how you feel about this tier list, if you would make any other changes. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!